It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hello, my fellow queens. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, psychotherapist, feminist life coach, and your queen bee of this hive. Today we're tackling a topic that I think hits a nerve for a lot of women, especially those of us who identify as ambitious, caring, driven, and determined to create meaningful lives. We're talking about the idea of having it all. You know the message. Build the career, raise amazing children, maintain a healthy marriage or partnership, stay physically fit, take care of aging parents, have a thriving social life, practice self-care, travel, volunteer, keep your house organized, and somehow do it all while looking effortlessly put together. Sound familiar? For decades, feminism has helped open doors for women. We've gained opportunities that previous generations fought hard to secure. But somewhere along the way, many women started asking a difficult question. Did we gain freedom, or did we just inherit more responsibilities? Today, we are examining whether the pursuit of having it all is genuinely empowering or whether it has quietly become a feminist trap. Let's dive in. So, where did the idea of having it all come from? The phrase having it all became especially popular in the 1980s as more women entered professional careers while continuing to carry expectations around motherhood and domestic labor. The promise sounded amazing. Women shouldn't have to choose between a family and a career. And honestly, that was a revolutionary idea. The problem isn't the opportunity. The problem is the expectation. Somehow, the message evolved from you can choose many paths into you should excel at all paths simultaneously. That is a very different message. Choice is empowering. Perfectionism is exhausting. Many women weren't simply just given more options. They were handed an impossible job description. Let's talk about something that researchers often call the mental load. The mental load includes remembering appointments, scheduling family activities, monitoring children's needs, managing household tasks, planning meals, my favorite, coordinating holidays, maintaining social connections, anticipating problems before they happen. Even in households where chores are divided relatively equally, studies consistently find that women carry more of the cognitive and emotional labor. In heterosexual relationships especially, women frequently become the default project manager of family life. And project management is exhausting. I've actually worked with a project manager before as a patient of mine, and the emotional load for that is incredible. Actually, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, right? All my ladies know exactly what I'm talking about. You can physically share chores while mentally carrying the entire operation. That's what I feel in my everyday life. And there are times when I try to explain this to my husband and he says he gets it and I believe him, but it doesn't really stick. No fault to him at all. This is just how we were socialized differently based on our gender. And honestly, the physical sharing of chores while mentally carrying the entire operation, that burden adds up. It may be an invisible workload, but it is heavy as hell. Now let's be clear. Feminism did not create burnout. The patriarchy simply adapted. Feminism is not the reason women feel overwhelmed. The problem isn't that women gained opportunities. The problem is that social expectations didn't evolve at the same pace. Many women entered the workforce, but household expectations remain largely unchanged. Instead of replacing one role with another, women were often expected to perform both. Be the ideal employee. Be the ideal mother. Be the ideal partner. Be emotionally available. Be attractive. Be nurturing. Be productive. Be grateful. And don't complain about any of it. That, my friends, is not liberation. That's overextension. That's being taken advantage of. That is the weaponization of progress by the patriarchy. Patriarchal systems have always been excellent at shifting burdens onto women while calling it virtue. And that's why I frequently call out the patriarchy. And here's my unpopular opinion. Social media made it worse. Can we talk about Instagram for a minute? Because social media has taken the myth of having it all and turned it into a 24-hour performance. We're constantly exposed to curated snapshots of other people's lives. The entrepreneur with 6 businesses, the mom making organic lunches, the influencer with the spotless house. Come on over to my place, would ya? I need some help there. The woman traveling the world. The fitness enthusiast waking up at 5 a.m. Screw that. Unless it's what you want to do, of course. The couple celebrating their perfect relationship. And what we don't see? The exhaustion, the childcare struggles, the anxiety, the arguments, the financial stress, the messy realities. Comparison thrives when we compare our behind-the-scenes footage to everyone else's highlight reel. And women are particularly vulnerable to feeling like they are falling short. There is a cost to trying to be everything. As a psychotherapist, I see this constantly. Women come into therapy feeling like failures, not because they're failing, but because their standards are freaking impossible. Many are successful professionals, loving partners, dedicated mothers, supportive friends, yet they still feel inadequate. Why? Well, because the finish line keeps moving. When achievement becomes your measure of worth, there is never enough. The pursuit of having it all can create chronic stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, relationship conflict, emotional exhaustion, perfectionism, shame. The body eventually says what the mind refuses to acknowledge. I cannot keep running at this pace. So what does success actually mean? Here's the question I want every listener to sit with. Who defined success for you? Seriously, who wrote the script? Was it your family? Society? Social media? Your culture? Your profession? Because many women are chasing goals that they never consciously chose. They are pursuing someone else's definition of a meaningful life. Real empowerment is not having it all. Real empowerment is deciding what matters most to you. That is freedom, not accumulation, not achievement, choice. Maybe we were never supposed to have it all. This might be controversial. Maybe no human being was ever meant to have everything simultaneously. Every life choice involves trade-offs. Time is finite. Energy is finite. Attention is finite. Something has to give. The problem isn't that women can't do everything. The problem is believing they should. Healthy adulthood often means making intentional choices rather than trying to maximize every area of life at once. Sometimes your career gets more attention. Sometimes your family does. Sometimes your healing does. Different seasons require different priorities, and that's okay. So how do we escape the have-it-all trap? First, define your own version of success. Write down what truly matters to you, not society, not your parents, not social media, you. Ask yourself, what would a fulfilling life look like if nobody was watching? The answer may surprise you. Next, audit your obligations. Make a list of everything you do. Then ask, do I genuinely want this? Am I doing this out of guilt? Am I doing this to impress others? Does this align with my values? You may discover that some commitments need to go, and that's okay. Next, practice strategic disappointment. This is one of my favorite concepts. Someone will always be disappointed. You cannot prevent that. The question becomes, would you rather disappoint others occasionally or disappoint yourself every single day? Choose wisely, ladies. Next, stop equating rest with laziness. I will say this in every freaking episode if I have to. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a biological necessity. Your worth is not determined by your productivity. You are valuable because you exist. Period. And finally, build a life instead of a resume. At the end of your life, nobody is handing out trophies for overfunctioning. Build memories. Build relationships. Build joy. Build peace. Build purpose. Those things matter. And here's my confession to you. This is one that took me, about 5 decades to figure out. I am finally building a life instead of being so driven to hit a certain annual salary, instead of accumulating more stuff. I have stopped working myself into the ground without anything left over for myself. I see less people in my practice now. I make a lot less money now. I had to scale back because of the ongoing challenges associated with being forced into a caregiving role. Something had to give. And for the last year, I've struggled with so much bitterness and resentment at this situation that I am in. I kind of forgot about what I want my life to look like because I've been in survival mode. Well, unfortunately for some, I am remembering. I am remembering exactly who the hell I am and what I have worked so hard to achieve. I am remembering the life I was working towards before things blew up. I am now making moves to get back on track. I'll be pissing a lot of people off as I make changes, and I don't really give a damn. I was not put on this earth to serve angry, ungrateful, abusive men. I am taking my power back, and I encourage every single one of you to do the same. On that note, it is time for our affirmation of the week. This week's badass affirmation is, I do not need to prove my worth through exhaustion. My value exists regardless of how much I accomplish. Let that marinate in your brain. How revolutionary is it to believe that your worth is not tied to your productivity, to what you do for everyone but yourself? For generations, women have been taught that being useful is more important than being well, that sacrifice equals virtue, that depletion equals success. But empowerment isn't running yourself into the ground. Empowerment is knowing that your humanity matters more than your output. The goal is not to have it all. The goal is to create a life that feels authentic, meaningful, and sustainable. Repeat that affirmation whenever you feel yourself slipping into overdrive, because your value has never depended on how much you carry. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave you with this. The feminist movement was never supposed to give women more cages. It was supposed to give women more choices. If your version of empowerment looks different than someone else's, that's okay. If you don't want children, that's okay. If you do want children, that's okay. If you're career focused, that's okay. If you're not, that is okay. If you want a quiet life, a loud life, an adventurous life, or a deeply rooted life, it's all okay. The most radical thing that you can do is define success on your own terms. You don't need to have it all. You need to have what matters. And there is a huge difference. My fellow queens, if today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a woman who may be carrying the weight of impossible expectations. And of course, be sure to subscribe, follow, and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts. Those reviews help more women discover the Hint Hive and join our growing community. I'd also love to hear from you. What does success mean to you now? Has that definition changed over the years? Join the conversation in our Hint Hive Facebook community, and let's continue amplifying women's voices together. Until next time, remember, you don't have to do everything to be enough. You already are. This is Kelly Hint, your queen bee of this hive, reminding you to take up space, trust yourself, and live boldly. See you next week. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.